The bright studio lights of the Kelly Clarkson show beamed across the set, painting everything in a warm, inviting glow. The audience was buzzing with excitement. Today wasn't just any episode. Rumors had spread for weeks that Kelly Clarkson would be interviewing Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex. It was Meghan's first major daytime television appearance in months, and people expected glamour, charm, and maybe even a few revelations. But no one could have predicted the storm that was about to unfold. Backstage, Meghan adjusted her elegant white suit in the mirror. The tailored jacket gave her an air of power, while the diamond earrings sparkled just enough to remind everyone she wasn't just another guest. She whispered to her publicist, "This is about control. I want my narrative clear. Kelly is warm, but she can be unpredictable. Make sure they don't ambush me with anything unapproved." The publicist nodded nervously. Meghan's reputation for being particular, and sometimes combative, was well known in television circles. Meanwhile, Kelly Clarkson was pacing the stage, her cue cards in hand. She had always been known as the friendly, approachable host who avoided controversy. But something in her gut told her today might not go so smoothly. Producers had slipped her a few hard-hitting questions that Meghan's team had tried to veto. Kelly wasn't sure if she would ask them. Yet she also knew that daytime TV thrived on moments of truth, the unscripted, raw exchanges that everyone talked about afterward. As Meghan strutted onto the stage to thunderous applause, she flashed her perfected royal smile, waving with regal precision. Kelly greeted her warmly with a hug, but something in Meghan's stiff posture hinted at caution. "Welcome, Meghan," Kelly said brightly. "We're so glad to have you here." "Thank you, Kelly," Meghan replied smoothly. "It's wonderful to be here with such an uplifting audience." The interview started pleasantly enough. Meghan talked about her charity work, motherhood, and her plans to launch new media projects. The crowd listened politely, but there was a sense of detachment. Her answers sounded rehearsed. Kelly, sensing the audience's lukewarm energy, decided to push just a little. "So Meghan," Kelly said, tilting her head with a knowing smile, "you've spoken a lot about your struggles with the royal family and the British press. But some critics say you've also used that spotlight for personal gain, book deals, Netflix, podcasts. What do you say to those who think you're cashing in on controversy?" The audience gasped. Meghan blinked rapidly, clearly not expecting Kelly to go there. "Well," Meghan said with forced composure, "I think it's deeply unfair to frame it that way. My husband and I have worked tirelessly to build platforms that highlight important issues. If people want to reduce that to cashing in, it says more about them than us." Kelly nodded but didn't let it go. "I hear you. But do you think maybe people are just tired of hearing complaints without seeing as much action? Some folks feel like every interview turns into a grievance session." The studio audience broke into nervous laughter and applause. Meghan's smile tightened. She leaned forward, her voice sharpening. "Kelly, with all due respect, unless you've lived in my shoes, you don't know the level of trauma I've endured. It's not complaining when you're surviving." Kelly didn't flinch. She set down her cue cards, looked directly at Meghan, and said softly, "I get it. I've been through my own struggles, heartbreak, public judgment, even divorce. But when I went through hard times, I tried to turn it into music, something people could connect with. Not just interviews where I'm the victim. Don't you think people want more inspiration than blame?" The audience erupted into loud applause. Meghan's face flushed red, her composure slipping for the first time. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, realizing Kelly had just reframed the entire conversation, and the crowd was siding with her. Backstage, Meghan's publicist buried their face in their hands. The tension on set had thickened like fog. Meghan sat back, her polished posture faltering. She crossed her legs and forced a smile, but her eyes betrayed irritation. Kelly, meanwhile, had the easy confidence of someone who knew the audience was on her side. "Let's shift gears a little," Kelly said smoothly. "You've often talked about wanting privacy for your family. But at the same time, you've done multiple interviews and media deals that keep you in the spotlight. How do you reconcile that?" The audience murmured in agreement, leaning forward. It was the question everyone had been too afraid to ask directly. Meghan's voice sharpened. "Privacy doesn't mean silence, Kelly. It means having control over what parts of your life are shared. Everyone deserves boundaries." Kelly smiled politely but then delivered the blow. "Sure. But isn't it confusing when those boundaries keep shifting? One day it's, leave us alone, and the next it's, here's our Netflix docuseries. Don't you think that makes people feel played? The crowd gasped again, followed by a burst of applause. Kelly's Texan bluntness had sliced through Meghan's carefully constructed narrative. For the first time, Meghan looked rattled. Her hand twitched against her lap, her jaw clenched. She attempted to regain footing. Kelly, I think it's unfair to trivialize the very real harassment and systemic issues I've faced. This isn't about being played. It's about survival, and it's disappointing to see another woman pit herself against me on national television. Kelly raised her eyebrows. See, that's the thing. It's not women against women. It's accountability. And sometimes, accountability doesn't feel comfortable. I've had to face it too. Everyone in this room has. That's what makes us human. The audience erupted into a standing ovation. People whistled, clapped, and even shouted Kelly's name. Meghan's face paled. She forced another smile, but it was brittle, cracked at the edges. Trying to salvage the moment, Meghan turned to the audience with a rehearsed laugh. Well, I suppose I wasn't expecting this kind of interview today. Kelly leaned in, smiling warmly, but her words cut deep. That's the thing, Meghan, real life doesn't always come with a script. The crowd roared. Cameras zoomed in on Meghan's face, catching the flicker of defeat behind her polished exterior. The producers, sensing the viral moment unfolding, signaled to keep rolling. This was television gold. Meghan's team backstage frantically gestured for the segment to end early, but Kelly wasn't finished. One final question. So Meghan, Kelly said, her voice steady, when history looks back on this chapter of your life, what do you want it to say? That you stood tall, or that you blamed everyone else? The studio went silent. Meghan froze, her lips parting slightly as if to respond, but nothing came out. The silence itself became the answer. And then, mercifully, the show cut to commercial. Aftermath. By the time the episode aired, clips had already gone viral online. Hashtags like hashtag Kelly claps back and hashtag Meghan exposed trended worldwide. TikTok users remixed the exchange with dramatic music. Commentators on YouTube and podcasts dissected every second. For Kelly Clarkson, it was hailed as one of her most powerful interviews yet, a rare moment where the usually bubbly host demanded honesty. For Meghan Markle, however, it was a PR disaster. Headlines screamed, Kelly Clarkson humiliates Meghan on live TV. Daytime queen schools Duchess. When victimhood backfires, in the days that followed, Meghan's team scrambled to control the narrative, releasing statements about misrepresentation and hostile interview tactics. But the damage was done. Audiences had seen something raw. Not just an interview, but a clash of authenticity versus performance. Kelly had walked away with dignity, while Meghan walked away with bruised pride. And somewhere, behind the glitz and cameras, Kelly Clarkson knew she had just rewritten the rules of daytime television.